Hey everyone, it's Sean. What's up, dude? We're in Lemont, Illinois. We're gonna check out the Lemont Historical Society. They have an event today for Route 66, so we're gonna go see what we can find and have a little fun. This is Sean, the What's Up Dude. Downtown Lemont, Illinois was part of the original earliest alignment of Route 66 from 1926 to 1928. Historically, mapping and research by local historians confirm that the Mother Road originally traveled down Main Street in Lemont, linking the historic canal town directly to the cross-country highway during its inception. Before federal numbering, Illinois paved state bond issue Route 4 between Chicago and East Street Louis. When Route 66 was established in 1926, it adopted this route. It crossed the Des Plaines River Valley, passing St. James at Sad Bridge and running straight down Main Street through downtown Lemont before continuing south toward Lockport. In 1927, a temporary detour officially routed traffic through Lemont, Lockport, and Joliet Collins Street to bypass major road construction elsewhere on the line. Route 66 was a dynamic highway constantly shifted by engineers to bypass tight city centers, slow canal towns, and a railroad crossing. By 1928, the main path shifted west toward Romeoville, bypassing Lemont entirely. All right, this is the Lemont Historical Society building. And right here, we do have a sign telling you what we're going to.
Area Historical Museum. Greg is credited with finding the map. So you can tell us, yay!
As I said, it was a boom for us because it specifically shows the old Joliet prison on that map. I don't know what the big deal was when I found it. Apparently it's really rare. There were these cards. That was one of the set of across the country. I think there was like 40 or 50 of them. They were like $10 a piece. I should have bought them all. Because now I can't find them. So, and I also want to point out that news release that had the Rialto in the 1930s downtown newsreel that also showed the Illinois Route 4 sign and the federal Route 66 sign, also acquired from eBay. So, don't bid against us for any Joliet thing. We got a whole team of people.
Yeah, so this map is from the Automobile Club of Southern California.
Later to become AAA.
Okay. Yeah, and you're able to see that it actually counts down the markers to Chicago. So on this map, Wilmington is 0, and Chicago is mile 59. Wilmington to Chicago. This is for travelers going the opposite way. Why does Route 66 start in Chicago, right? So.
I do look like finally, I've always wanted in my career. So, maybe not to answer the question precisely, kind of talking about the Good Roads movement that you brought up. One of my favorite stories as a Kentuckian about the Good Roads movement was Illinois Governor Len Small, who was governor of Illinois for the duration of the 1920s. He was a Kankakee guy. His father made it big enough off rhubarb, and Kankakee County Museum is currently beside the family farm. Len went on to become the governor of Illinois, and he was known as the Good Roads Governor. He campaigned heavily on road building. He was later indicted, I kid you not, when it was found out that he was literally and figuratively steering roads through communities that were giving him political and financial support. He was indicted for bribery. He beat it. He was not convicted, but it was said that he had ties to the Plum Gang, maybe the Klan. There was a lot of talk about could buy off juries during his administration. So at any rate, I don't know, maybe the official reason was, you had construction going on, but interestingly, as we're kind of reviewing maps, it didn't, Illinois' map did not specifically delineate Route 66 until 1928 along the route of Archer Avenue. It was on the map of 66, even as late as 1928, and certainly had SBI before that, before state bond issue for, and I think before it, one point was also Archer Avenue. So I guess at the end of the day, Chicago has always been kind of where everything terminates. And in our region, we've always been the way through, particularly in Joliet. So as we saw in the documentary, transportation then as now is a huge part of the industrial heritage. And it all kind of follows that. So it's very much alive and well within.
Great. As a Lemonter, how does that make you feel that 66 is coming through your hometown?
It was pretty cool when we actually found it out, and Greg was researching it, sent it to me. I ended up sending it to Jason and Lockport Bear was very happy as well. But I think everybody knew it. It's just the problem was it needs to be proven up, and the only thing you can do is really get a map or have some records. So it was exciting, and it's something, especially with this 100th anniversary. One of the things we really wanted to do from the arsenal standpoint is part of what we do is tourism, but we really wanted to try to highlight those communities. And we're predominantly in Will County, but obviously the line is a little bit in Will County, so we decided to start in the line and go all the way to Braden. So it's exciting. I think you got a chance to see what's available throughout this area. And Jason highlighted many things that we couldn't fit into a video because we had to keep the original video. Actually, it's probably too long. It's about 6 minutes. But we had to give a little flavor for each community in there, so that's what we really tried to do.
And then Art. The Arsenal is amazing. Art was somebody that was there when it was the Arsenal. I've asked you a couple times already today. You have a lot of titles. What was your last title?
My last title was the commander's representative. We didn't have a green suit army commander. Once we came over with the production, we were going to control the civilian staff, that kind of stuff.
You can tell he was a civilian because he called the green suit Army Commander. Right? Of all the things that the Arsenal is today for a 66 fan, as I'm driving down 66, you're passing the day with National Prairie. I want to just know a little bit more about how the first, it was the first National Prairie, how that all came to be. Whose vision was that to bring that? Because I think it's a great reason to get on 66 and stop and see some bison.
When the Army finally determined that the capabilities of the Joliet were no longer used in mobilization, the company became excess. At that point, there were different efforts to plan the reuse, but the one that carried the day was Thomas sending our system, brought in about 24 community representatives from businesses around with interest groups. And they laid out for primary uses and drew on the map who should get what portions of property, and that was ultimately passed in legislation.
And explain a little bit more. You're pretty modest. You had a pretty large role in keeping all this together.
A lot of us did. Rick will tell you that. There was a lot of discussion about how things would come together, particularly around what square foot to what agency. So it took years to get that over the finish line and get signed. And simultaneously with that, the arsenal grounds had become contaminated to a fair degree. And that all had to be cleaned up before we were allowed to hand over the property towards new uses. We weren't responsible to make it right, but we were responsible to handle the property that could be. So we were
ready to go. Check. All right, it's working a little bit. Yeah, thank you, Jason. And Jason mentioned Heritage Corridor Destination. Jason and I have been on the board, I think about the same time, 2017, 2018. And I love Jason because he's just one of these guys that loves where he lives, and he knows all these great bits of culture from Chicago and all the way down to Bureau County, probably beyond that. So we happily nerded out together on many things, and he's just such a knowledgeable guy who I love doing the nerding out with. So thanks for the invitation, the opportunity to talk about that. But I believe Route 66 is a regional story, and certainly that video highlights it, and the three alignments, if you will, we're in a church, three alignments in one. Route 66 is even a spiritual analogy maybe here in Will County. But you're talking 15 different communities that can claim Route 66 rightfully, in addition to many that touched it. I mean, Route 6, if anyone should be upset, Route 6, the GAR highway that is a true intercontinental highway that was adopted with the same national highway, also having its 100th anniversary. Like I'm in Shannon, it's not even been mentioned, and we talked about doing like a 666 thing, and people didn't go for that. We took that back to marketing, didn't work. In addition to the downtown museum in Joliet, the anniversaries for us will continue until we're around Cruise. We're actually celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Joliet Museum, Area Historical Museum, next year in 2027. And at that time in 2002, when we were built, we were really an early adopter of Route 66 tourism. I grew up in Kankakee. My great aunt was a Joliet Franciscan, so we spent a pretty good amount of time in Joliet when I was a kid. And you kind of heard like, there's no way people are coming from all over the world to drive 53. Like that's not really happening. But certainly it is. And so it's only getting bigger and bigger. So I think many of you know or have heard, and I want to credit my colleague Dale Bowe, who was there in the early days of the Joliet prison when we were kind of commiserating how to reuse things, and he was a great shoulder to cry on sometimes, but also resource about what was happening at the St. Pat's Project with the Joliet prison. So I took a lot of notes from him. So that has been up and running since 2018. We will have a screening. This is a documentary that can air on PBS, and they're doing a road show. I think they stole that idea from you. Going down the whole route and doing some screenings of these movies. But we will have it right there with this documentary. So Friday, September 4th, come on out for that. And what else we have? We're working in 2 communities now with the Gemini Giant. I won't go into that story, but it's a fun one, but it's still there. I can say that we've gotten interest and partnerships from the Ford Motor Company. Harley Davidson is doing something with that. So that was the reason to keep it in Wilmington and in the region. And I'm so glad we did it. They say that every cigarette takes 7 minutes off your life. And I don't know what that one took off my life, but it was worth doing. So Wilmington's a wonderful community. We also have the Arsenal Gatehouse that's been restored on Arsenal Road in Wilmington. And we're working on some programs for that, which I think we'll announce pretty soon. So if you haven't been out there yet, it's okay, but it's a pretty cool experience there. The Joliet Railroad Museum is in the new Gateway Center right across the street from Slammers Field, so if you're catching the Slammers game, check that one out. And one I wish got a little more love is the Planet Set Market Museum. This is totally privately funded by the family. A 1926 grocery and meat market that is just off of the old route, right across the street from Rivals Park, which is now on trails. So yeah, a lot to do. So please, if you have not, it's not just for people coming from England or France or River 66. We want people locally to come and experience all we have. And the Dairy Queen, thanks for reminding me. So that was a new one. So we're working with the corporation to kind of figure out phase 2, but in phase 1, we were able to get the facade restored. And from there, I see Michelle here. We almost got that sign still lost my thing. I still have a picture of that sign on my phone and I showed them. We're that super cool. JoletMuseum.org. We'll hope to see you Friday the 4th with this movie. And thanks again for the opportunity to talk here. And also, thanks to Rick
Just one thing I want to mention too, is we provided funding to Greg in the museum for a traveling Route 66 exhibit, which he's in process of getting designed right now. So that will be coming probably in the fall, and it'll be available basically from Lemont through Greenwood in some kind of schedule. So he'll definitely coordinate with you guys to have it for a period of time. All right.
And now, I will show you a video that was created by Village of Lemont TV to give them credit for it, but it showcases places on Route 66 that are historic and a wonderful place to go. And many of these stops that are mentioned, we have done videos on for the Was Up Dude channel.
For 100 years, people have been getting their kicks on Route 66. This legendary highway, once stretching from Chicago to Los Angeles, still draws travelers from around the world, chasing the spirit of the American road trip. And nowhere is that story more alive than in Will County, home to the first 100 miles. Here, history isn't just remembered, it's still part of the journey. When Route 66 opened in 1926, America was roaring into the automobile age. Illinois was the first fully paved stretch in the country. Back then, Will County was a patchwork of farming towns like Manhattan. Route 66 carried new economic opportunities as it linked small towns to one another and to larger cities like Joliet. At the time, Joliet was the county's bustling hub. Route 66 wound down Chicago Street past the Joliet Library, a historic limestone building designed by renowned architect Daniel H. Burnham, and the impressive new Rialto Square Theater, opened in May of 1926 and still dazzling audiences today. The first alignment of the Mother Road passed through canal towns like Lemont and Lockport, communities built on the success of the Illinois and Michigan Canal. In Lemont, it passed in front of the Budnick Building, completed in 1927. Travelers might have pulled into Huster's garage for service, or slipped into Tom's Place, a Prohibition-era tavern that's still owned by the same family. In Lockport, Route 66 ran along State Street, passing the historic Gaylord Building, once a canal warehouse. Built in 1838, it's now home to art, dining, and the I&M Canal Museum. Visitors can walk from the Gaylord Building through Lincoln's Landing along the canal to another historic landmark, the Norton Building, once a canal trade hub. It's now the Illinois State Museum, Lockport Gallery. Nearby, Heritage Village showcases restored Will County buildings, including a Simerton train depot. Lockport takes its name from the first lock on the I&M Canal, an engineering marvel still visible today. Farther south, in Chenahan, visitors can explore another preserved canal lock, walk trails, and stand at the meeting point of three rivers. In 1928, Route 66 shifted to run through Romeoville, bypassing Lockport and Lemont. The route now passed White Fence Farm, a 1920s horse farm stopover that became a Route 66 institution. The Hastert family has been running it since 1957, and today visitors still come for their fried chicken, antiques, and alpacas. Romeoville has been a part of the Route 66 legacy since 1939. Travelers came to Romeo Beach until it closed in 1973. But there's still plenty of history to see today. The Fitzpatrick House, across from Lewis University, or the Beller Museum of Classic Cars, and Isle a la Cache Museum of Cultural and Natural History. Welco Corners, a well-known full-service truck stop for decades that even offered haircuts, marked a junction point in current-day Bolingbrook for the 1940s realignment that sent Route 66 through Plainfield. Many gas stations were built along this new route to accommodate the increased traffic, and Plainfield residents even rented rooms to travelers. Joliet was now on alternate Route 66. But today's road trip may call for a stop-off at the Route 66 Welcome Center inside the Joliet Area Historical Museum. Pit stops for food and fuel have always been part of the fun of a Route 66 road trip. Joliet is home to the oldest continuously operating gas station on the entire Mother Road, owned by the Lambert family. And in nearby Crest Hill, Merichka's has been family-owned and operated since 1933, and they're still serving good eats like their famous Poor Boy's sandwich. World War II brought change to Will County. The U.S. Navy set up shipbuilding in Rockdale to support the war effort. And Route 66 expanded to 4 lanes through Elwood to support the transport of munitions coming from the Joliet Arsenal. Today, that land has been transformed into the Medewin National Tallgrass Prairie and the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, places of remembrance and renewal. After the war, prosperity brought the golden age of the family road trip. Songs like Get Your Kicks on Route 66 played on car radios, and businesses like gas stations, motels, and roadside eateries flourished. When Eisenhower signed the Interstate Highway Act in 1954, it paved the way for I-55 to eventually replace Route 66. But adventure seekers continued along the old route, and businesses like Dairy Delight transformed to attract them. In 1965, owners bought a 28-foot muffler man named the Gemini Giant, who still greets travelers passing through Wilmington today. In 1975, Old Chicago, the world's first indoor amusement park, opened in Bolingbrook, where I-55 intersected with I-53 or historic Route 66. Although Route 66 signs began disappearing and the road was decommissioned in Illinois in 1977, the public wouldn't let it die. In 1985, the Polka Dot Drive-In opened in Braidwood, celebrating Route 66's nostalgia with 1950s charm. Visitors can still drive in today for burgers, jukeboxes, and photo ops with Elvis, Marilyn, and the Blues Brothers, fittingly filmed up the road at the old Joliet Prison. Route 66 history in Illinois is preserved thanks to local efforts and the Route 66 Corridor Preservation Program, established by Congress in 1999. Today, towns along the Heritage Corridor are keeping the spirit of Route 66 alive. There's so much to explore throughout Will County. As Route 66 marks its centennial, rediscover the gems along the first 100 miles and experience the fun and nostalgia of the great American road trip once more.
Alrighty, everybody. I hope you enjoyed what I was able to show you. A little bit of discussion of how certain towns, even though they weren't part of the original 66 road map, there are historic maps that show that they were part of Route 66 at one point. And all these towns, like Lemont and also Lockport, they are celebrating Route 66 because they were part of the historic route when there was construction work or things happening like that. So I hope you enjoy the talking that I was able to show you, and while you still can, enjoy the centennial, because this is a milestone year for this route. For now, this is the What's Up Dude signing off. Till next time. Please like, share, and subscribe so that I can explore new areas and go to more places in the future.